once you've done Big Brother, you get painted with a brush. I mean, people call me untalented, and they call me just some untalented wanker from Big Brother, and it's really shit because I really had this dream about being an established actor. I've really got to burst out of that box that I've been branded as now.
Best known for winning Big Brother more than a decade ago, Pete Bennett was taken into the hearts of the British public. Affectionately seen as a bit of a joker, Pete is setting the record straight on his talents, lifelong struggle with Tourette's, and growing up in a single-parent family. My mum was,
she was great. I mean, she still is, because she's still alive. I mean, sorry, was great. I mean, she is still great. I mean, yeah, she's a violinist, but classically trained violinist. And so at a young age, I was on tour a lot with her. I was on tour with the Communards with her when I was about 3 or something. I think I remember being in one of her gigs. She was on stage playing the violin. So I was, it was great. And then she was also in Mark Armand as well, Soft Cell. So, you know, I met him and went to the studio and met him a lot, and she did some playing with him. So yeah, I was surrounded by like one of the two of the biggest gay bands of the 80s, like the most iconic bands ever. So it was a really wild beginning. I always realised I had something because obviously I was always twitching and sniffing and blinking my eyes and stuff. But I mean, I realised I had something, but it was kind of just it was hard though, because I didn't know what I had, but I knew something was wrong. You know what I mean? It was a strange experience. Just, I mean, all the kids didn't do what I did, but they used to bully me a lot. No one liked me, and they called me names, and it was, you know, I was constantly getting antagonised by the kids. You know, just saying they were going to like beat me up after school and all this shit. And I went to the hospital after a bully put a rubber up my nose because I was twitching. And then I went to the hospital and they said, what's he got then? A rubber up his nose? Mum was like, yeah. And then they said, he's got something else, you know, something called Tourette's. And she was like, what? It's because I was twitching like a madman. I was so full on at 14. My twitches were so bad that he noticed straight away, and he said he's got Tourette's. And Mum said, how long does that last? And he said, forever. which was really shit for my mum. She cried her eyes out. She was really upset. I mean, it was really sad. But for me, it was a fucking godsend, because I loved the fact that I'd been noticed, or like, you know, because I've always known something was wrong. So it was so nice for someone to finally go like that, you know. So yes. So kind of like, thanks bully. You sorted me out there, cunt.
Pete's diagnosis opened up a whole new world to him, allowing him to discover his many talents.
My mum met a sound engineer when I was 8 years old called Dave, and he had my little brother Alex, but he was sound engineer, so he used to teach me how to produce music on the Atari ST, which is really an old computer. But yeah, I got into it. I mean, it was one of the things that stopped me from twitching, because I was on so many drugs when I was twitchy, because they prescribed me so much drugs. So it zombied me out quite a lot. And I remember just writing music instead. And I remember like getting a studio set up in my bedroom, like a mixing desk and a computer, and I just I started writing music. I think I was 14 or something when I got my first studio, and I just did that, and I started writing music since then. And since then I've been writing music. I started when I was 8, but I didn't have my studio till I was 14, and then when that got old, I got my Mac, and I just kept writing music, and I kept writing music, and now I've got an album that's pretty much ready, and I call myself the Daddy because I was in a band called Daddy Fantastic with my best mate Wobbly Bob, but before he died of cancer, he said, "You're the Daddy, Pete. Don't ever fucking forget it." And I was really sweet of him.
Wow, hey there, baby, don't you be no soap, 'cause Daddy Fantastic is here. I'm a mean silver bullet when the moon is full.
age of 18, Pete moved to Brighton. Finally accepted and loved by the community, his confidence grew and he eventually found himself applying for a spot in Big Brother.
When I moved to Brighton, right, I became Perfect Pete. Everyone called me Perfect Pete because I was such a twitchy bastard. I was the biggest twitchy person in Europe. I had 50 out of 55 no twitches. But the fact that I was a bit of a quirky, kind of wacky guy, they actually liked me, and I was the genie in Aladdin, and they kind of took me on as this wacky, silly person. It made me accept that I was actually quite funny. I don't know, it made me accept myself, because I was being funny with Tourette's. I wasn't being a recluse. My Tourette's wasn't just an illness, it was part of my personality, and I made people laugh their tits off, just being me, myself, not caring about what people thought. So in that, and that inspired me, you know, to audition for Big Brother. So I went and did it, and yeah, I won.
The winner of Big Brother 2006 is Glenny Boy. Glenn. Glenn. It's Glenn. Zoo.
It's you, mate.
It's not me. It's not. It's you. No, it doesn't matter.
It's you.
Wait. Wow.
No, wait.
It's not. No. Pete.
Life after Big Brother was not always kind to Pete. After suffering the loss of several friends, he found himself turning to drugs as an escape route.
When it was all going to shit, I mean, like, obviously, because after Big Brother, it didn't really go well, but I knew that I knew that I wasn't getting any work, and the place I bought was too expensive, and I knew that I just fucking knew that I was losing everything, and I started, I got on quite a lot of acid and festivals and all that, and I was doing lots of trips and different kind of drugs. And one of them though, I got a bit addicted to ketamine, and I remember ringing up my dealer because my Tourette's was so bad and saying, can you just come around and give me some ket, because my twitches were just bothering me, you know. It got worse when my best friends died. I mean, I remember, like, because it's a trippy drug, and you can go into other realities, and I remember hanging out with Wobbly Bob and Jules a lot in my K-hole, and I remember seeing them, and I used to think it was the spirit world, you know, and I used to hang out with them a lot, and I wasn't dealing with the loss of them, because I was keeping them alive by doing ket and seeing them. I used to see them, man, like floating about and like saying, hey Pete, and I used to smell them, and I used to think they were real spirits. I was gone, man. I was in a spirit world, but I enjoyed the spirit world more than the real world, because the amount of friends that have died over the years in my 20s was just too much for me to take. And I remember just getting really bang on the ketamine and thinking that I was in the spirit world, and so I could hang out with them, and that was the only way I could keep them alive. And it fucked me up, man. I just got really addicted to that. I had to go to counselling, and just to talk about there's drug counselling as well. And it's good, because just putting the first foot forward to try and get off, because addicts don't know they're addicted, really, you know, they don't know, and I didn't really know. And you never can get rid of that addictive feeling, you know. I've still got it. I mean, it's there. It's just trying to like control it, or trying to get control of that addict that you already are, so.
Finally free from his addictions, Pete decided to focus on carving out an acting career.
Big Brother was like a big kind of like guy with Tourette's winning Big Brother. Fucking yes, you know. So that was amazing. But then I thought to myself, I don't know what to do with myself now, you know. And I had this dream. I had this dream of becoming a Hollywood actor, you know. Because I thought, if I could win Big Brother, what else can I do? And then literally the next year came, and I got a tweet from a guy called Warren Speed, and he said, oh, you're right, mate, do you want to be in my zombie film? That was my first role. And I wanted that kind of role because it was good practice. It wasn't something big and really professional and like serious. It was just practice, because it was a really daft horror about zombies with their tits out. As soon as I had that under my belt, that was a feature film. I just went around and found some more, and got some short roles in some short horror, and then that guy John Williams, he's made some feature films, and he's put me in every single one, and I'm really getting into it now. I mean, at first it's just comedy, but I knew I could do a serious role, so I auditioned for this film, and I got the part, and I literally knocked their socks off. It was brilliant. It's probably the best part I've played so far, called I Need Help.
The film basically tells the story of a man who's given up. A man who's given up on life and love and pretty much anything that you can give up on. He's a man who's taken a hard time over the last few years, and now that's kind of sending him on a downward path that's, well, making him lose his mind, basically.
I always found, right, that having Tourette's made me really in tune with my body. I mean, as I've been doing all this twitching all my life, I'm so in tune with it that I can pull off. I think I've got the skills to be a really great actor.
Is it really you?
Pete's never been involved in something as serious as this before. Pete was known typically as this comical, fun-loving, a bit of a raj guy who was only there to have a laugh and have a jump around, and that's not the way we see Pete anymore. The man's cried for us, he's screamed for us, he's fallen over intentionally, you know, he's thrown himself about to do this, to change his public image. There is more to Pete than this hyperactive, over-the-top guy. There's a deeper side to Pete that really wants to come out and really wants to surface, and that's what will change Pete Bennett's career. Not Big Brother, not Jeremy Kyle, not Chase the Hounds or whatever the fuck you call it. It's going to be where Pete steps forward as a serious actor who takes himself and who everyone else takes seriously, and that's what he's done for this film.
I've been a nutter for years, and people expect it. I mean, sometimes, you know, I'd meet people who I've known, you know, in the street, and they're like, "You're Pete," and I'm like, "All right, hello, how you doing?" And they would want me to call them a wanker, because they've got this idea of me from when I was in Big Brother. The fact is that I've changed so much. I've changed so much. I mean, I'm not the same guy. That guy's dead, you know. So and there's a lot of pressure for me to be that guy when I'm out. You know, and it's not the case anymore. I've gone through so much shit that